Welcome to Bits and Breaches. My name is Mira, and with me is Joshua Holloway, the CEO of 7th DI Technologies. Let's talk about California. If your business deals with data from the Golden State, your privacy playbook is, well, officially out of date. California just rolled out a massive update to its privacy laws, and we're going to break down exactly what it all means for you. Let's dive in. And think about it for a second. We're talking customer lists, website visitors, maybe even your own employees. If you're touching any personal data from California, your entire compliance world has basically just been flipped upside down.
Exactly, and I'm not talking about tiny little tweaks either. These are three major new rules that significantly expand what you're responsible for under the California Consumer Privacy Act.
Right. So let's start with the timeline here. When is all of this happening?
So on September 23rd, 2025, after almost 5 years of back and forth, California finalized three huge data privacy regulations. They cover automated decision-making, risk assessments, and a brand new requirement for cybersecurity audits.
Okay, so let's set a game plan.
So here's how we'll tackle this. First, automated decisions. With AI popping up everywhere, this one is a really big deal. Then we'll get into risk assessments and cyber audits. And at the end, we'll wrap up with what businesses actually need to do next.
Love that. So what actually counts as ADMT?
Think of it as any tech that uses an algorithm or computation to make a choice that a human would normally make.
So we're talking way beyond spell check territory.
Yep, and this part is super important. These rules don't apply to every automated process. They only kick in when the technology is making what the law calls a significant decision.
The big stuff, things that can actually change someone's life, like whether they get a loan, a job, an apartment, or even healthcare.
And if you're using ADMT for those major decisions, you now have three main responsibilities. First, you have to tell people about it before you even collect their data. Second, you need to give them a really easy way to opt out. And third, if they ask, you have to be able to explain how your tech made a decision about them.
And don't forget the deadline, January 1st, 2027.
That's right, and I know that sounds like it's a long way off, but if you're re-engineering complex systems, that time is going to fly by.
Okay, next up, privacy risk assessments. California now requires that before you start certain high-risk data activities, you pause, think, and complete a formal documented risk assessment. So who exactly does this apply to? Is this something every business has to worry about?
The rules are pretty specific. You need to complete one of these risk assessments if your business sells or shares personal data, if you handle sensitive information, or, connecting back to the last section, if you use ADMT for those significant decisions. It also applies if you're profiling people or using their data to train AI.
And here's a bit of good news. The original draft said businesses had to submit their entire detailed assessment to the state.
Right, and a lot of businesses let out a huge sigh of relief. Because in the final rules, you only have to submit a simple certification and a short summary. You still have to complete the full assessment and keep it ready, but you don't have to hand over the whole thing up front.
Okay, let's move on to the third and final pillar of these new regulations, the annual cybersecurity audit. This is a brand new requirement for certain businesses, and honestly, it's a total game changer for how companies will handle security going forward.
Now, this audit requirement does not apply to every company under the CCPA. California set very clear triggers to determine who has to go through this annual review. You're required to complete an audit if your business model is built on selling or sharing personal data, or you're a larger business, over 25 million in revenue, and you handle a significant amount of Californians' personal or sensitive data.
And California is staggering the deadlines. The largest companies, over 100 million in revenue, go first in 2028.
Smaller businesses follow in 2029 or 2030. So it's important to know where you land in that timeline. And these audits are no joke. The requirements are incredibly specific. This is California defining what reasonable security looks like now.
All right, we've gone through the what, the who, and the when. Now let's talk about the part everyone actually cares about. What should businesses do right now?
So here's your 4-step action plan. Step 1, map your data. Know where you're using ADMT or doing high-risk processing. Step 2, figure out which of these rules apply to you, the audit, the assessment, or both. Step 3, if the audit applies, start planning now. Find an independent auditor and identify which executive will sign off. And step 4, update your contracts.
That last one is big. Your vendors have to support you on these obligations.
And here's the final thought I want to leave you with. Someone at your company, an executive, is going to have to sign your cybersecurity audit certification under penalty of perjury.
That takes the stakes to a whole new level. So the real question isn't just, are we compliant?
Is our entire security program ready for that level of scrutiny?
And that wraps up today's episode of Bits and Breaches. Thanks for joining us as we unpacked California's new privacy rules. Stay informed, stay secure, and we'll see you in the next episode.